Place your Novitrope on a clean surface. If you feel like today has been filled with an abundance of static electricity, place it on a large metal table, or even better, an anti-static mat to avoid damaging the circuit board. Take a Phillips head screwdriver and carefully unscrew all 4 brass screws from the bottom. Remove the bottom plate and set it aside for later. Pop the screws in a safe place for the time being. Gently pull the knob directly outwards and put it with the screws. Open the rotary encoder replacement kit bag. Inside should be a rotary encoder, a 5-pin cable, a number 6 by 3/4 inch brass screw, and a 3D printed wrench. Try your best not to touch any of the circuit board components to avoid electrically damaging them. Unplug the 5-pin cable from the circuit board. Place the wrench over the rotary encoder nut. Note that the wrench is polarized, so if it doesn't fit, turn it around and try again. Hold the back of the rotary encoder still while you turn the wrench. Avoid scratching the front of the strobe dock with the wrench as you turn it. Once you've initially loosened the nut with the wrench, loosen it the rest of the way by hand until the nut comes off of the shaft. Remove the rotary encoder from the front hole of the strobe dock. If the rotary encoder is blocked in by any of the circuit board components like a MOSFET, try gently and slowly bending them out of the way until the rotary encoder is free. If you're still unable to remove the rotary encoder, please watch the motor replacement video on how to take the circuit board off of the wooden base. Link for that video is in the description. Once you've put the old encoder aside, remove the nut and washer from the new one. On the flat metal face of the rotary encoder, there may be a small tab facing up. This needs to be bent down so that the rotary encoder sits flush with the strobe dock and doesn't damage the wood. Place the new rotary encoder into the front hole of the strobe dock. Orient the 2 holes so that they're closest to the circuit board in order to avoid the rotary encoder touching the bottom plate when we put it on later. Again, if there's any interference with any of the circuit board components, gently and slowly try to bend them out of the way. Place the washer onto the shaft and gently hand thread the nut, making sure not to cross thread it. If you feel like you are cross threading it, back it off a bit by turning it counterclockwise and try again. Finish tightening it with a 3D printed wrench without over tightening it or scratching the front of the strobe dock wood. Straighten the rotary encoder back out as it may have shifted when you tightened it with the wrench. Plug the 5-pin cable back into the circuit board. Note that the plug is polarized, so there is no way that you're going to plug it in wrong. And that's pretty much it for the hard stuff. Now we just need to put the bottom plate back on, reinstall the knob, and give it a test run. Place the bottom plate back in place, making sure that the 2 feet are facing forward and the 1 foot is facing back. Hand thread the number 6 by 3/4 inch brass screws in and then tighten them by hand with your Phillips head screwdriver. Be very careful not to over tighten the screws, as you may crack the wood, and nobody wants that. Put the knob back onto the rotary encoder shaft, and that's it. We're done. If you run into any issues, please leave a comment. We'll do our best to answer the question, and anybody else watching in the future can find it right here in one convenient place. Thank you for watching, and happy troping.